Flyover State of Film was shot in front of a live studio audience.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Joe Exotic TV. This is episode 46 of my newest show, Flyover State of Film. Basically, we're barely hanging on like this here eyebrow ring. And I just love my husbands, Joe, TJ, and Yusef. And we love big cats. We're here to do meth, love big cats, and
Big
love
fish.
each other. Guys, welcome. I'm drinking a couple beers that one of my buddies left in my fridge.
Oh, so this is gonna be another off the rails episode then.
Those are the best
Sorry.
beers.
I had an eyebrow ring in high school and I regret it now.
My wife also had an eyebrow ring that she regrets.
Never had a piercing.
Ooh.
Me neither.
No piercings really for me either. More of a tattoo guy.
Trying to get nipple rings like Cuomo.
Yeah. Woo. He
thought
rocks those nipple rings.
Ugh.
Also, like everybody in Joe Exotic, like you couldn't be in the production if you didn't have a nipple ring.
No, hell no.
Oh,
They all got to
I-
like.
I was so
I'm
uncomfortable
working
by his
towards a
ear.
John Finley bod, guys. So, like, I'm trying to get there.
So uncomfortable by his ear. I just felt like it was gonna fall off at any moment by the weight of the earrings that he had.
He talked about putting the padlock on his Prince Albert is when I had a real problem. I was like, okay, I need to take a break.
Wait, he had a Prince Albert?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he talked about it when he's going
Oh,
on
I
his
missed
date.
that part. I missed
Oh,
that
yeah.
part.
Guys, as you can tell, the quarantine has got us all. We got no news, and we're all watching the same shit. Everybody's watching Tiger King. We
Yep.
don't have anything to watch in the theaters. But have you guys, aside from this show that's consumed us all, is there anything that you guys have been watching? I'll start by again giving myself a pat on the back of being the world's best dad. I've been watching some historical, history-based true stories with my
History
son.
adjacent.
Yeah, history adjacent. We've gotten through Titanic, we just watched The Great Escape. Some other great ones, but that's been a lot of fun. What about you guys?
I love what you've been doing with your son. Just in that regard, I
son.
thought it was so cool.
My son.
My son. So I've been doing something that I have just been clicking play on virtually anything that looks remotely either interesting or like mind dumbing. So I have not all of quarantine. I have not given much thought of what I have watched and just said play. It's made life a lot easier.
Any gems?
Yeah.
Have you hit any gems?
So I've watched about like 30-something movies in 3 weeks.
Jesus.
I watched all of the Candyman franchise. Again, we talked about it a dozen times and Flyover.
I love
First one,
how TJ's reaction was Jesus, and mine was like, "Yep, that's good."
Yeah. So some gems. I thought that I have my list up. The big time adolescence on Hulu was worth a watch. It was a nice little coming of age movie. Download Shudder for that free trial. I was able to watch Magic.
Ooh, also Canopy. Everybody's been talking about Canopy. If you have a library card, you can access Canopy, and it's like another service. It's got unlimited free kids content, and you get like 7 free rentals a month. But they got a really big selection. They got A20, like all the A24 movies. They got a ton of documentaries. They got like 70s grindhouse shit. So if you got a library card, check out Canopy, K with a K, K-A-N-O-P-Y.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I just have a few more I want to read off before. Super 8, I revisited. I watched for the first time. I realized I always thought I had saw it. I actually had a lot of fun with that movie. Yeah.
I had somebody else recently recommend that to me, and a person with kids, like a person with like a 10 or 11-year-old, was saying they liked it.
Perfect.
E.T. with lens flares and a huge monster.
Well, if there's one thing J.J. Abrams can do, it's rip off Spielberg.
Yeah.
And then the 2 shout out to our other Flyover State of Film show, or Flyby, Color Out of Space, and Mandy. Were really fun rewatches.
Are we still putting up that commentary for Hook too? Is that coming out?
Yep.
Yeah, we watched Hook. I also revisited 50-50.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
The cancer movie with Seth Rogen, and
I never saw that. I always wanted to. Just never got around to it.
It's on Hulu.
It's not bad.
I think it's a sweet little movie. And then I've watched a complete shit also. So don't worry, I'm still on top of these games.
Oh yeah, well, you got to be on brand. You got to watch some trash.
Yeah, like I've watched The Boy 2 and Cadillac Man and Mo Money.
Oh my God, save us! Bring us some culture, Yusef. What have you been watching?
Oh, I watched a shit movie called Sphere.
Oh fuck off!
I'm kidding.
You better save that shit.
No, aside from my usual Frasier, Seinfeld, Golden Girl injections throughout the day, I've started rewatching Mad Men. It's pretty good. There's a lot of people in it that I didn't remember they were in it, like Flo from Progressive. It's one of the.
Oh yeah,
she does look like. I mean, she kind of rocks that hairstyle.
Yeah,
she's in the 50s.
Which is good. I've been watching a lot of RuPaul Drag Race.
That's always funny. Wow,
RuPaul's fracking race, more like it. RuPaul's fracking, guys.
This week's challenge.
Got a big farm. They're fracking the shit out of it. Doesn't give a fuck about the environment, everybody.
Oh, I didn't know this. Learned something new about RuPaul.
That's right.
Yeah, he gotta make that money, bitch. He has that new single, "Frack It, Bitch." But I've been catching up on 2019. I watched A Hidden Life, Terrence Malick. Fucking great movie. Like his first good movie since A Tree of Life, maybe. Because it has a plot, weirdly enough.
Terrence Malick films don't have plots.
Yeah, but this one has, because it's based on a true story of a guy in Austria that protested against the Nazi regime, and he got killed in jail because he didn't want to say "Hi Hitler." But yeah, I mean, a bunch of movies I watched. But recently, today, thanks to Joe's magic link, I watched Onward. It's not bad.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting around to that.
Probably the worst performing Pixar movie since The Good Dinosaur, though, and that's before the pandemic. Like does not. I mean,
I think it was like a week before everybody closed out, though. I think.
Yeah, but it didn't open strong either.
Oh,
yeah, it would have never got its legs.
But it is not on Pixar's like high level, quality level. But I did enjoy the father-son / older brother dynamic, because they kind of showcase that older brothers can become the father figure for their younger siblings.
It's like Tom Holland and Chris Pratt do the voices.
Yeah.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus is the mom.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not bad.
I rewatched Moana, by the way. Fucking amazing. Still incredible. Ace.
I have a question with how you guys feel about, like, so I try to watch, like, I'll see a movie and usually like Hulu for some reason and be like, I've never heard of it. It's definitely a lower production, and just watch it. Do you guys ever do that? Like, it has, like,
I only have Netflix, so I do watch Netflix originals though, because there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I just will do randomly that.
I've hit.
What about you, TJ?
Oh, me? Nothing too new. I watched Candyman for the first time since I was like 6. and then which is fucking incredible. And it's also like I didn't remember anything of it. You just shut
This
things
is the
out.
first time watch, yeah.
And you're just like, oh wow! So it just went fucking way different than what I thought it did. TV show wise, I started watching Supernatural.
Oh, I mean, you're set till next year.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to watch anything else. You could literally just survive on that.
Yeah,
I don't like those CW shows, but I'll admit I was doing a fucking test at the hospital the other day, and I was in an ICU, and it was just on over my shoulder, and it was getting my attention. You know what I mean? It was like I was kind of like, what?
There's some solid. I like Monster of the Week, so I think I'd like Supernatural.
They did I would just watch Candyman. And like one of the episodes is about the Hook Man, like the urban legend. And they had Bloody Mary one, which is fucking cool, and just like shit like that. And then a movie that because I'll wake up and want to go on Prime and watch fucking something new or something I haven't seen or something on Netflix that's fucking new and something like that. But I'll watch TBS and TNT and IFC and AMC all fucking weekend. But a movie that was on that I fucking watched the entire thing, which I don't remember watching if at all, was Green Mile. Something about that just pulled me in, like what's his name's role? Fucking A.
Michael Clark Duncan.
No, I mean great role, R.I.P. But
Tom Hanks.
No, but he plays the criminal that comes in like a little bit later in the movie and starts just pissing on everyone and fuck with everybody.
Steve Buscemi? No, that wasn't Steve
No,
Buscemi.
it's
You're thinking of Con Air.
He's in the Poltergeist remake. What the fuck's his name?
I know who you're talking about. It's just been so long since I've seen Green Mile.
I got distracted and I don't know who we're talking about. I might know the guy. What is it again?
Green Mile, the shitty prisoner that comes in halfway-ish.
Mr. Jinx.
Yeah.
And he plays the dad in Poltergeist remake.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's Frank Whaley? No, it's not Frank Whaley.
Wait, in the Poltergeist remake, it's
it's the guy from Three Billboards.
It's Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. Yeah.
Damn, that was gonna kill me. Everyone's yelling probably. Ryan's probably yelling.
Well, I was gonna confuse with the guard guy, the guy who's from the X-Files and and
that's the first time.
I was thinking of him too, so I was getting mixed up with that.
That's the first time in history Sam Rockwell's ever been referred to as the guy from the Poltergeist remake.
Right. I can't maybe if you'd have picked a more notable performance, we would have got there a little sooner.
I couldn't think of anything. I was gonna
even the guy from Iron Man 2 would have been better.
The guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he plays
the guy from Confessions of a Dangerous Mind,
Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what I've been fucking watching.
That was almost one of my answers for our question coming up later about good casts, but
then let's get into that topic.
I get to decide what the first topic is. Yusuf, don't try to take over my show.
Dude, I watched
my goddamn episode, man.
Looking for new movies on Prime. Blow the Man Down, pretty good. It's kind of like a Ethan Coen-ish movie. Pretty good.
Which one?
Blow the Man Down.
Okay,
check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
I like the first three words of that.
Look, man, baby.
All right, let's start with a topic that I think was Joe's.
Yeah.
We're talking about a movie that you maybe hated the first time you saw it, but maybe you feel like because other people have talked about it, they like it, or it's been sold to you in a different way, or you heard some people. I actually did this with the movie Sunshine. You guys know Danny Boyle's movie Sunshine, sci-fi movie. Never a fan, but somebody I was watching a podcast I really liked, they were really raving about it, and I went back and gave it another shot. Still didn't hold up for me. Third act does not stand the test. Good, it's like 2 acts of a good movie. Anyway, Joe, if you got anything else to say to intro this topic, let us know.
So my pick is actually just going to be what inspired this topic, and so I don't know, recent chatter for some reason again about Batman vs Superman. I really fucking hated that movie. I thought it was a bad movie. I don't even think you should listen to chatter, but it had me thinking, should this have been a movie? Should this be a movie I should try to rewatch one day? Like I only saw it the one time.
Did you also open a Vero account because of this?
Yeah, I did. And then but my thinking is like, if I do, maybe I won't hate it. Maybe I'll just go, it's fine.
Ooh, great legs.
Extended cut.
would you
So-
watch what cut would you watch? Would you watch the extended cut? Because I assume you only ever saw the theatrical cut.
I only saw the theatrical. I guess I would watch the extended cut just so I could be like, yeah, I saw the extended cut and I didn't like that either.
I saw the extended cut. I found the extended cut to be worse.
Okay,
It's like even
I
more
found-
incoherent and stupid and nonsensical. Like at least they and like I didn't think they could make a 2.5 hour movie seem streamlined, but the extended cut does. You're like, wow, they really cut it down well. Like, it's fucked up.
I enjoyed the extended cut.
it's just
because
bad. So I want to preface this is I'm probably not gonna go watch it. I'm just if I had to pick
But
one that was
seriously, like anytime you think about that, think about rewatching your favorite movie instead. You know what I mean? Like, what's a movie you can
Yeah.
watch anytime and be like, I could spend those hours doing that.
So I want to say this because of Brian. I did this about a year ago with Year One.
It didn't go
And I remember telling Brian, yeah, I still don't like this movie, but at least I gave it a rewatch instead of when I tried watching it in the theater when I was like 14.
I did that with
because your tastes do change. There's definitely
Yeah.
things I matured into liking. You know,
Yep.
it's fair.
So anyway, what are your guys' picks?
Ooh, I'll go.
I'll jump
No.
in.
Oh, you got it.
Who's gonna go?
No,
I
no,
thought
no.
TJ. I heard TJ start
Oh,
to talk.
I heard
No, you
TJ.
jump in. No, you jump in. You jump in. Okay, I'll jump in. No, okay, go ahead.
This one's a pretty easy one. I saw it one time and it just fucking the whole time. I don't know if it's because so many people loved it and all the Oscar buzz and the stupid fucking music, but the whole time I'm watching this movie,
La La
I'm
Land,
just,
suck a dick.
oh, La La Land. It's so fucking bad watching it.
Ooh, it's not good.
But I think I went into it hating it. So like, maybe it's been so long. Maybe if I took a step back and just fucking watched it and didn't cringe at everything fucking Emma Stone did, we'll see what could happen. We talked about. Brian said this earlier. In Chapter 2, I love the first movie. Saw the second one. Had a bad theater experience. It's like the third time in a fucking row, and I fucking couldn't stand it. So, and also hated the movie. And then anything with Kevin Hart. Anything with Kevin Hart.
I don't know why. I have nothing against Kevin Hart.
The Wedding Ringer, Get Hard.
I don't have anything against it, but I don't ever want to see any of his movies. Like I'll watch
CIA
Jumanji.
one.
That's about as far as close to a Kevin Hart movie you can catch me getting.
Oh man, it
I
was,
think he was the only good thing about Jumanji 2 in my eyes, and it was because
Yeah,
he
I
was doing
still haven't seen it.
a Glover
Yeah, I was
impression.
gonna say, he was doing
He
Danny
wasn't
Glover.
doing. Yeah, he wasn't doing his shtick.
I
of
don't know.
screaming every single line.
The Rock doing Danny DeVito seemed funny in the trailers. Does that not translate to 2 hours?
There's not enough. It's actually not enough. There's not enough bits for it. Yeah, that's also a problem with that in the Jumanji sequel. Was like you said, they tried doing the voices instead of doing the character actions.
I can't. So like anything
'cause,
Kevin
like,
Hart. I mean, I'm
Danny
sure
DeVito in Jumanji 2 is like very old man Jew in it. They play up as.
really?
So The
Yeah.
Rock was trying to do an old man Jew voice, and it wasn't working at all.
Like he's not Frank Reynolds, just like Charlie, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
a shame.
Sorry, TJ.
Go ahead, Yusef.
So
Go ahead.
La La
Yeah,
Land,
you said
though.
you can go next. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love La La Land. Fuck you.
I know.
I got one recent and one very old that I saw as a kid. The recent one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I legit bored me to fucking death, that movie. Style, technique, acting, everything was wonderful. Beautiful. But the story itself is so meandering and pointless, and it's just like a fucking
That's how I felt about The Revenant.
I was
watched that.
likening. Well, I finally just saw Once Upon a Time, and I was likening it to kind of more like it's the closest thing Quentin's done to Death Proof, I think, since Death Proof, where it's a movie where it's all about getting to know the characters, and there's not really any story to speak of and then at the end some shit just happens, like some crazy shit just fucks off at the end. Like I actually really liked it, but I could see what you're talking about for sure.
So that's why I kind of want to give it a second shot, because I mean it's Quentin. I bet I can still appreciate what he's doing, even if I still don't like it in the end. It happened to me with Hateful. What? Sorry.
What if he releases chapters of it on Netflix?
I hit play on chapter 1 on Hateful Eight and stopped watching. So maybe he can do the same thing.
What's your horror movie, buddy?
The other one I saw when I was younger, I think I was like 13 or 14. So, like Ryan said, taste change, and that's been 16 plus years now since I saw it, and that is 1987's Oliver Stone Wall Street. I did not like.
I've actually
Wall
never
Street.
seen Wall Street.
I think you appreciate it more as an adult.
Probably I will. That's why, and I'm not gonna use hate is a strong word. I don't know if I've hated actually any movie. But boring for these two categories. That's what I'm putting them. I was disinterested by them. I was like, funny. I could be doing something else.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I have 2 Oliver Stone movies that I did a flip on. From kid to now. One was I used to love the Doors movie because they were my favorite band and everything. And then eventually it was like, wait, this movie is fucking crap. Yeah. And a really mischaracterization of who they are, this and that. So I flipped on that later in life, where you asked that, the 13-year-old me or whatever, that's amazing. And then at the same time, Natural Born Killers, I just didn't get.
Oh yeah.
And, I'm this is I don't get it, and I'm just relating to maybe that's an Oliver Stone thing too, of recently I'm oh, I get what they were going for. It's very of its time. Anyway, I just thought it was funny you mentioned one of his movies.
But yeah, I'll probably give it a shot. What about you, O'Brien?
Oh, I get to go now. Yeah. These are both movies I know. I think I've talked about these, and they're ones that much like Sunshine was. It's a lot of people I like or I respect like these movies or keep recommending them, and I'm maybe I was looking at my phone too much during the one, or maybe I just wasn't in the right place, or maybe I need to open myself up too long. I've actually in the last just couple years, I would say, I've opened myself up to more slower paced movies and stuff that's more. So 2001, Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey is one that I always feel kind of guilty for not liking. You know what I mean? It's I've never. I've watched it as an adult, but it's probably again been probably over 10 years, and I don't have. Specifically thinking of something I was going to force myself to give another shot to, that might be on the list. And then the other, what you want to, yes, Joe?
I have a question for you about 2000.
Sure. Yes, what is it?
I don't think you should watch it high. Because
guys, that's it. Good night.
No, because it was a stoner movie back in the 60s, and it probably wasn't as slow paced as it is today.
Yeah.
So, I could see being high and being this thing's too fucking boring. I'm not blown away by shit.
I mean, I guess put me on blast. He thinks I'm high when I watch all my movies, guys.
Oh, God, it's a classic stoner.
Calling me out.
He's a father.
Now, Cabin Boy makes sense now.
And I'm a father, sir.
All right, God, you know what I mean.
Cabin Boy and Drowning Mona and Sphere and Hunting Man out of the Ice-T one all makes sense now. Thanks, Joe.
True.
You cracked the code.
Those are the pics of a guy who's just stoned on his couch. That's fair. That is fair.
The Hunting Man Show.
The other one that jumped into my mind, and I know I talked about this recently because it came up during our Oscar episode, is Snowpiercer. Everybody loves it so much, and it's so good.
I think you're still.
I know there was stuff I liked about it. It might be one of those ones that I went into with a little too high of an expectation because of how much everybody else liked it. So that'd be another one I'd be willing to give it a shot.
I really love
almost any Alfred Hitchcock movie.
I think Brian will still not like Snowpiercer because you don't think your opinions have changed that much since when you watched it.
But I don't think
it's been long enough. I think the same thing with the Hitchcock movies.
Yeah, but I think you can enjoy it just as a dumb movie instead of the praise that it got for this smart.
Whatever kind of
Yeah, I really like Snowpiercer, but I watched it recently. I watched it as for a dumb movie. Anyway, so I think we all have some pretty good picks for things you'd go back and watch and never pick as a Flyover movie.
Yeah, I'll probably do.
And despite the fact that Yusuf was shitting on my Flyover picks, at least some of them have a really tight cast. So Yusuf, that inspired you to come up with a question Why don't you tell
So
us?
I think I'm gonna rent Once Upon a Time one of these days for sure. Yeah, fuck your transition, Brian.
Son
Like
of a
you did to
bitch,
mine.
man. That's
Ah,
so
I
anti-alien.
not
think,
vengeance.
I think
I'm the girl who
sometimes-
broke her. You broke my ankle when I landed my perfect
That was
dismount.
so
It
solid.
shattered my ankle.
One of the best.
So Brian's when Brian was mentioning his movie last episode, he just rattled off a bunch of names, and it was a very impressive list of award nominated and award winning actors, and that gave me the idea of like what underrated movie, or at least a movie that you think not everybody has seen
Yeah, I
or
noted
talks about.
underseen in our notes,
Yeah.
in our production
Um,
notes.
that has a wonderful cast. I'm gonna say my pick just in case somebody gets it. I went with. So I wanna read all the Oscars involved in this movie. So we have Robert Zemeckis, who's won one Oscar for Forrest Gump and nominated for screenplay Back to the Future. The editor has won 2 Oscars for Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Forrest Gump. The cinematographer has been nominated once. And we have Goldie Hawn, who won 1, and Meryl Streep, who's won 2 and been nominated for 21. And Bruce Willis is also
This
there.
is a good
we have
movie, by the
Death
way.
Becomes Her.
Yeah, it's a good.
I fucking love this movie.
Incredible.
I used to watch this movie a lot as a kid. The story is so out there. Bruce Willis is acting like this is one of his few acting roles. He's not doing Bruce Willis. He's doing like this shtick of a puny man that is trying to please 2 women at the same time, and then everything just goes to hell as he tries to kill his wife. The special effects are fucking amazing. I think to this day the campiness of it holds up, even if the special effects are not like as crisp as today's movies. It's campy, like B movies aesthetic makes it a wonderful rewatch even to today. But yeah, that movie has a stellar cast. It even has Isabella Rossellini in it. Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep going back and forth, fighting over Bruce Willis is amazing, and Robert Zemeckis always, at least back then.
Also,
I mean,
Bruce Willis doing a great comedic role, which you don't get to see enough. And you
Yeah.
know, I mean, in his later career, he's really funny, and he's playing a kind of a real like sniveling kind of weasel, you know, like coward. So
He's
that's
always-
fun.
he's always sweaty and greasy, and his
Yeah.
mustache is ugly. He even has reading glasses on.
I did a great DVD bunker with our good friend Kimber about that movie.
Oh,
I
awesome.
gotta watch it. Never seen it.
So yeah, I recommend that fucking movie. It's amazing. It's a fun movie. Like I think it's a great, even though it made already a DVD bunker, it's a great flower as well. It has a lot of meat in that bone to talk about. How about you, Joe?
Oh yeah, sure. So I didn't go so much far as the award cast element to this, but and I think my answer is a little cliche, like all my answers. So it's wet hot American. It's wet hot American summer. I still think it's underseen. I think it's more seen than it was. But when you see
how do you feel about the Netflix show? I feel like it was fine, but it didn't really live up to.
It didn't live up.
It was too long.
They did 2 seasons of it, if I remember correctly. And I'm pretty sure the
Yeah.
second season lands better than the first one.
You're probably right. I think I did end up watching both.
I also think
the best joke that they had is like everybody's acting like they're still like, young.
Well, they're supposed to be even younger than they are in the movie, and but they're 10 years older. That was a very funny joke.
It's funny, but I actually don't even think it holds up for the whole time of the movie.
Yeah,
for the show. Anyway, so that I'm like, fine.
The movie is still excellent, though.
The movie, it's excellent. It's joke for joke. But I'm just gonna read a little of the cast. It's people like it's funny to see the top 2 billed are the 2 people without careers now, Janine Garofalo and David Hyde Pierce. But then you have like
give it up to my '90s icon Janine Garofalo though.
Then you have like Paul Rudd, Christopher Maloney, Molly Shannon, Ken Marino, Joe Latruglio, Michael Ian Black, Amy Poehler, Bradley Cooper. So yeah,
Bradley Cooper, that's Oscar caliber on multiple.
There you go. That's enough.
And then, but I also want to highlight. So if you haven't seen that, written by Michael Showalter and David Wayne, directed by David Wayne. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's probably still on Netflix. It's one of the funniest movies, but it's still wildly underrated, even with that text.
And Michael Showalter is like a very underrated director as well.
Oh,
he has a bunch of good.
The second thing, that's the second thing I do want to highlight just real quick. As underrated
so many good points.
Oh, fuck you guys.
It's not our fault.
I know. The second thing I want to highlight, speaking of Michael Showalter, is he has two movies, one of which is, actually there's a few, but one of which is The Baxter, which is this little rom-com that he made, which is, it's fine, but once again, there's Elizabeth Banks, Michelle Williams, Justin Theroux, Paul Rudd, Peter Dinklage. Speaking of just like solid casts that these little movies, and
Lost.
Hello, my name is Doris.
So good.
Sally Field, right?
Yeah. That he also directed.
Yeah.
And that class is excellent. So anyway, that's just my like in their little.
I love
world.
Hello, my name is Doris.
Yeah, that was like a super little pleasant movie. Never got too weird as it could have.
It's like a nice cup of cocoa. You just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, it never gets too sad. Like it never gets too sad, which some of those like mumblecore movies tend to do.
Yeah. It doesn't go full Garden State.
Yeah, you like go by the end of it, you're like, that was nice. I'll think about that when I'm pooping in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So
How
what about
you?
Yeah.
Me? I'm next. My turn?
Baby. That way
Okay,
we
well,
does his topic.
One of the historical movies that I shared with my son. I don't know if this movie's underrated or underseen. To me, it's always been a classic, literally from the moment it came out. But I have heard people kind of shit on it as just a popcorn movie and not very authentic. But as far as cast goes, it always stands up to me. And I'm talking about Tombstone. Fucking every role in that movie is cast unbelievably good. And I don't care if nobody got nominated. There are some amazing performances in that movie. Kurt Russell kills it. He's stone-faced whiter, but like when he loses his brothers, he really has some emotional moments. Paxton has his death scene is so good. But the cast, not just the Earp brothers. You got Sam Elliott, Kurt Russell, and Bill Paxton. Then you got the Cowboys, Powers Booth, Johnny Ringo. Is Michael Biehn, Stephen Lang, Thomas Hayden Church, Dana Delaney, Billy Zane, and Jason Priestley. Like literally the whole cast, every role, just knocking it out of the park. So that's my like older pick. I don't know if that counts as underseen, but I love it.
I think it's a bit underseen.
A newer one.
You forgot to mention Val Kilmer.
Oh, okay. I guess that would be the one thing that I felt like everybody knows about Tombstone. The Doc Holliday performance that should have been Oscar nominated. That's the performance. Yeah. Fuck that Jim Morrison. The Doc Holliday is what should have got Val Kilmer his Oscar. But either way, whatevs. And then a newer movie that I definitely know is underseen, also something revisited within the last couple of weeks. Has at least one Oscar winner in it already, in Brie Larson, also starring Armie Hammer, Sharlto Copley, who is a goddamn treasure, and he should be in like a million movies. He should just show up in as often as he can possibly work. Also, Jack Rayner, our buddy from Midsommar and from Sing Street, but I'm talking about Free Fire. One of my favorite little down and dirty action movies from the last couple of years. It's basically a 90-minute movie and 55 minutes of it is a shootout. And it's just
people crawling on the floor.
People crawling in dirt and fucking each other up, and and having conversations, but also shooting at each other. It's really great. I really love it. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it definitely has an amazing cast and definitely can be good for this topic.
I'm glad Jack. I don't know that movie.
Cillian Murphy. You forgot Cillian Murphy.
I'm glad.
Cillian Murphy, who's like one of the stars of the movie. He's like one of the biggest people.
I'm glad.
Sorry, I get distracted when I start talking about Charlton Copley.
Yeah. I mean that's.
I'm glad Jack Rayner didn't die in Michael Bay, like die in Transformers, like with that franchise. Was like never heard from again.
Oh, he should have.
Yeah, he's the guy with the sex pest card, right?
Yeah.
It's so yeah. I'll go jumping right into mine. I've probably talked about this bunch of times before. We've talked about westerns and stuff like that. I don't know if it's considered underseen. I think it's a little underrated for what it was, but it's got an amazing cast: Russell Crowe, Christian Bale, Peter Fonda, Ben Foster, Alan Tudyk. 3:10 to Yuma. It's just one of those movies. James Mangold directed. Everyone loves fucking Logan, so you gotta love James Mangold.
Ben Foster in this one is so good.
He's almost good in anything you fucking put him in. Pandorum, just like stupid movies like that. He just like, okay, I'll watch for him.
Without a Trace and Hell or High Water, even though Hell or High Water is like way too esteemed, but
Hell or High Water is one of those ones I felt like I should revisit that I didn't like as much as everybody else, and I thought maybe I should.
But he acted so well.
But he did act for sure.
That was the most Ben Foster.
How about 30 Days a Night? Come on.
Oh yeah, 30 Days a Night. He's so good.
Yeah, you pop a Mountain Dew and a Xanny, and you watch Alpha Dog and and Lucky Number 11 and Running
Smoke
Scared
Aces.
all at
Them
nice
with
triple
Smoking
theater.
Aces.
Smoke Aces, and then you just fucking go smoke meth and hit your wife afterwards. That's a nice Saturday.
That's a good set. Oh,
but like Russell Crowe,
domestic abuse is going up in quarantine, baby. People are locked up together.
There was a good 5-year period where people would be like, "Yo, Justin Timberlake and Alpha Dog, so good."
You know what I like about 3:10 is the fragile performance of Christian Bale. Like he wants to be this man for his son, and he's not that.
Like, he's got fucked up legs and shit like that. And then like Russell Crowe's playing like that perfect.
Seen him as like the uber hero right in this era is when he's doing his first Batman. He's being John Connor, like so. Like it was nice to see him go the other way and play like a weak kind of fragile coward, basically.
And so that one scene where you wake up to Russell, you hear and Russell Crowe just sitting over him with a fork, just stabbing the shit out of that one dude with the fire. It's like shit like that. I fucking love it. Newer movie. This movie's got a cast and like I don't know. Has anyone seen Haywire?
Yeah.
Great cast. It's like one of those fucking.
I love the girl who did Gina Carano's voice. One of my favorites.
Definitely tough. But it's like Antonio Banderas, Michael Fassbender, Bill Paxton, Michael Douglas.
It's crazy. They really tried with this one. They were like, "We're gonna make this a thing. We're gonna pack this movie."
You could imagine. I can only imagine like the DVD cover probably has a sliver of like everyone's face at some point, and just wire across the front.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, those are my picks for the. Was it?
Real quick, this isn't an Oscar one, but Joe's pick of Wet Hot American Summer made me think of it. And I just wanted I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but Coneheads, underrated SNL movie, but also like every role is cast with either an SNL alumni or a famous comedian. Yeah. So it's like even down to like Drew Carey's the guy in the cab and stuff like that. Every role they just slipped a comedian or a SNL alumni, and it's a lot of fun if you're a fan of like 80s, 90s SNL. Like
Comedy Central, like 2001 to like 2006, Comedy Central was great for finding those comedies that like you could tell they were just getting on the cheap because Coneheads was on there all the time, and so was Wet Hot American Summer.
And Comedy Central had that thing at like after 1 o'clock in the morning. It was Comedy Central Uncensored, where the movies were allowed to have the shit in them.
And it was mostly South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. They would show.
Which is a good one. I can't lie.
I had a VHS like tape recording for that. The Secret Stash.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation? I don't listen to hip hop.
With Windows 98.
All right, so what's our final? That's everybody, right? We all got them in there. So we got one more category here. And because we're talking about Sphere, which is a Michael Crichton written original story, I just want to do a real quick, what are your best and worst Michael Crichton adaptations? Aside from the obvious Jurassic Park. We all know Jurassic Park is a classic, so let's leave that one off the table. What else? Anybody else got some Crichton adaptations they like or hate?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead, TA.
No, you go first time, buddy.
My best is Twister.
Fuck yeah! I was worried somebody wouldn't mention it, so I have it written down too. I love Twister so much.
Growing up in a small island, I've never seen a tornado in my life, so this was a documentary for me. Like I was yes, this is real. This is how things happen when tornadoes are here. You're supposed to be holding onto a pipe and you throw a cow. And
definitely, they happen 4 or 5 times in one day. That's 100% a thing.
That movie made me want to story.
It's at least for me, it's like drenched in nostalgia. And the worst, and I think I probably should rewatch it, but I won't, and I'll never rewatch it because I remember like falling asleep to it. Congo.
Oh, come on.
Congo was on my worst list too.
What is happening here?
Ugly monkey, Amy, ugly monkey.
It's so fucking boring and bad. But yeah, that's
although I do at the very end when they start lasering those monkeys, that part's pretty sweet. I was like, Laura Linney with a laser gun shooting crazy monkeys is pretty tight.
Tim Curry, you're gonna just forget about Tim Curry. Okay, first of all, Congo.
Tim Curry's accent in that one is off the chain.
Congo's my number one. That's
my god.
Twister was already fucking taken.
Congo has one of the fakest looking apes in cinema.
Oh my god.
When you think that Instinct came out a couple years after this, and that's got some super great gorilla effects in it and stuff. Stan Winston existed at this time. What are you doing?
2001 Space Odyssey's monkeys look better than fucking Congo.
Yeah, the fucking Planet of the Apes monkeys look better than this shit.
Ernie Hudson's in it. He's really fucking good. The white apes at the end are fucking ferocious. The hippo scene by itself, where he just attacks the rubber raft in the middle of the river. Incredible scenes. Also, it's the only other Crichton book I've read other than Jurassic Park and Lost
I did read Congo too. I was that Jurassic Park had come out and Congo was his next book that you knew was becoming a movie. So everybody fucking read it.
I found it I don't know, a year ago on the side of the road, just a crate full of books, and just the first thing just popped in me was Congo. I was like, I've seen that movie, I'll read that book. Yeah. And then probably my worst, just because I can't even remember if it's a bad movie or not, but we watched it at least 15 times through high school in all science classes. And I guess it's kind of topical now, but Andromeda Strain.
Oh,
Can't fucking do it. We watched that movie so many fucking times, and it's just so boring. That I couldn't even tell you what the fuck it's about.
I was just saying, I don't think it's one of those movies that I'm aware of, but I don't really remember. You know what I mean?
They go to a town, and there's people that are just dead because there's a virus, and they're all in suits. So it's topical.
It's like the 1970s outbreak.
Yeah.
There's this movie. I'm sorry, I have this page up because I need to be a little more familiar. The movie was remade in 2008.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
straight to DVD or straight to video thing.
Must be. Benjamin Bratt is the biggest name, so yeah.
So definitely
from Catwoman fame.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I don't think there's that many. If you can't do Jurassic Park or Lost World,
well, you can do Lost World. I love Lost World. That's on my list.
Okay,
I think Lost World is still the best Jurassic Park sequel we've had.
It is easily.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to talk about.
Even if you're just whatever, you can't deny that Lost World has the Spielberg magic. The scene with them with the fucking the trailer hanging off the side, that's a great tension and that's amazing.
Well,
the scene with the raptors attacking everybody in the tall grass. Don't go into the long grass. I fucking think that all the time.
Well, doesn't now I'm no book reader, but isn't the Lost World the most
It's gonna be Joe's campaign slogan. I'm no book reader.
Isn't that isn't that more of like a better adaptation to like movie to book? I'm
I
told.
think that the movie was kind of already written when he finished the book. So I feel like that's why it's closer, because he kind of already knew what was gonna, you know what I mean?
Kind of like Fight Club.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay,
not 100% sure, but I think that's kind of the case with that one.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to add to this topic, because I literally forgot. You ever forget you've seen a movie in your life, and then you see the name and a picture, and you go, "Holy fuck, I saw that."
That's when it happened with Sphere.
Timeline
Oh yeah. Was it?
Oh yeah.
with Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Actually, this cast is pretty solid. Paul Walker, Gerard Butler,
Sean Bean.
Yeah.
is
Sean Bean?
No, Billy Connolly.
Yeah, they go to the medieval
Sheen.
ages, right?
Yeah, I've seen this movie. Richard Donner made it. I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
I can't tell you anything about the movie,
but
I know these guys have viewed this movie. Yeah, and it's like medieval and shit, but they're from. Anyway, yeah. I don't know if that's on the best or the worst. You know,
probably the worst.
Crying, doing you.
Oh, Brian.
We've almost talked about all the ones that I was going to mention. I don't think you can, especially now. I don't think you can forget about Westworld. Not only obviously the old movie, but I think the show, at least even if you just took the first season of the show, you'd have to say that's one of the better adaptations.
That's good.
But one that I really like, and I've always really liked, but would probably end up on a lot of people's worst lists, and that is The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas. It's based on a Michael Crichton book called Eaters of the Dead. It was just loosely based on the fable of Beowulf. I don't know why I like this movie, but I do.
Hey man, it's the number one rated on IMDb, so
it's like it's got that thing that I like in movies where a group of guys, it's got a very Seven Samurai vibe to it, where like a group has to go and like fight a thing, and they kind of bring together a bunch of guys who all have like a specific vibe to them. I really like the Viking leader of the guys, who's like the 13th Warrior. He's great. I don't know. I just always had a lot of fun with it. I haven't revisited it in a couple of years, but I don't think I would hate it. Even if it went down in my esteem a little bit, I think I would still enjoy it. So that's the only other one I wanted to bring up. I think everything else we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
So are we ready to talk about Sphere?
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Let's talk about Michael Crichton originally, but also written by a couple of fucking nobodies that you never heard of. Sphere. Real quick, Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, Samuel Jackson, Peter Coyote, Queen Latifah. Basic plot, you got Dustin Hoffman plays a psychiatrist who wrote a paper for the government talking about what team you would take to meet aliens if aliens ever showed up. So they find what they think is aliens, so they use his paper to bring together a team which includes him. He's a psychologist. Sharon Stone is like a evolutionary biologist of some kind, or a marine biologist or something. Samuel Jackson's a mathematician. Liev Schreiber is a physicist. Is that what it is? Astrophysicist.
Yes.
And then Peter Coyote's like the government guy leading them down there. Basically, they go down to the bottom of the ocean where there's the ship. They find a weird sphere. And shit starts to break the fuck off. And I don't know, I guess that's enough of the plot, right? Do we need to go from there? We can talk about the movie now?
No, I think you nailed the plot.
First note, not Téa Leoni.
I thought Sharon Stone looked hot as hell with his short hair. I was very into it.
She looked
For
hot
a moment.
like Leoni.
Yeah. No, she looks like Kristen Stewart in Underwater. Like, I feel like Underwater was kind of ripping that off. Like that short blonde hair.
Yes.
It was really when Sharon Stone was just getting roll after.
Or Sharon Stone ripped it off and they went through a black hole and went back in time. Woo!
I gotta say this is the first time I've seen this movie. And seeing Liev Schreiber, which I'm used to seeing him as like kind of a tough guy role, Ray Donovan, Sabretooth.
Cotton Weary.
Cotton Weary. He plays a really, and I give the Samuel Jackson too. they play some fucking great smart guys. Like they handle that dialogue like a champs. Like,
Liev Schreiber plays a similar, not as smart, but a kind of weird, awkward, nerdy character in Ben Affleck Phantoms. If you're a fan of classic
He's
Ben
the
Affleck.
bomb.
He's the bomb in it. But yeah, it was great to see how 90s Liev Schreiber. I was like my wild Liev Schreiber sightings.
It's so surprising what movies he pops up into.
Same with Peter Coyote, man. E.T. and this, Aliens.
And then this. What?
Things I know that he's in. Now I'll give you this one. I get to see this for the first time. I was confused throughout the entire movie.
Okay, so
I didn't know what was going on at all.
I'm not sure I'm here right now.
So I checked my brain at the door. The minute they started throwing science jargon, I went, yeah, that means nothing.
That bothered me.
You put people on a ship, you have different personality traits, and you go on a task. I am in. And I was in, and you had Dustin Hoffman just leading them, wearing a crew neck sweatshirt, which I'm pretty convinced he wears crew neck sweatshirts in like every fucking movie he's ever been in.
Cover up your old man. That's how you gotta keep your old man.
And he just leads.
He sometimes got confused on set. Like he saw Barry behind the lens and it's like, oh, we're doing Rain Man, right? And I'm just gonna do my Rain Man shtick.
Yeah, Jerry. But Jerry, what do you want, Jerry? Yeah.
Jerry.
Stop calling me Jerry.
The scene that made me laugh so much was he was like, "Oh, take me to the survivors," and then they locked him up in the cabin, and he takes him out, and he's like, "It's been 3 hours. Whatever happened to the survivors is done. I can go home now."
Yeah.
Like, the fuck type of therapist is that? I just imagine him like in an office. It's like, no, my mom really fucked me up. Yeah,
he's
but
like,
when did
if I can't help him in the first 3, if I can't get there, I might as well. I'm useless. I might as well just bail out.
I'll say my favorite part.
Done. You're fucked. Sorry, I can't do anything.
Therapy is different in the future.
In the 90s, small window for therapy in the 90s. If it goes past the 3 hours, you're expired.
I love the fact that he writes the ULH that what was it? No, unidentified life forms ULF. He writes that form back in like 1980s for whoever it was.
This is the original Bush administration, so Bush Senior.
Yeah, so I'm loving the fact that he's like, I just had to put a list together of people I knew, so I just put a list together. He's like, he justified. He's kind of like, I didn't fucking know this was gonna happen.
Yeah, at first I thought it was weird because they do kind of the Jurassic Park scene where everybody flies in on a helicopter and they kind of introduce you to what everybody's specialty is. But unlike Jurassic Park, everybody seemed to already know each other, and then they explain that it's because he basically just wrote down the names of people he knew.
And then you get the
I think it was I found it hilarious. I found that hilarious. I for the first like hour of the movie, I was like, yeah, I'm in 90s schlock. But I found it hilarious that the government didn't vet this shit. They were like, yep, this is our Bible down here. Like,
it's
a
more
psychiatrist wrote this, and we're just following to a T.
I think that's the most realistic portrayal of a government on film, actually.
It's more. I'm sorry. It's more ironclad than Armageddon.
Yeah, I agree. At least they brought experts on. Although I was kind of like, I love the idea that these people, these scientists, they're just like, okay, here you go. You can just walk on the bottom of the ocean. Like, there's no more training involved, and just like, put on this suit, you're good to go.
No, I love everything about the ocean.
Good luck with the
about the creatures. The jellyfish though just threw me for a fucking loop. And Queen Latifah. Shout out Queen Latifah.
I do love that scene, though. That's a very cool, like, a kind of an intense... It starts off kind of whimsical, and they're like, look at these jellyfish, and then it gets kind of scary. I like that.
That's my favorite scene.
Oh, I found
That's your favorite scene?
The jellyfish?
The scene before that, Sam goes into the sphere, and he dies, or almost dies, and I was like, whoa, they're going to kill the black guy in the first scene, and he's going to be the first death?
Yeah.
Like so cliche, and then no, it's gonna be the black woman. The first
That's right. They flipped it on you.
She had to get to
They're like, we'll make the black man a very important part, but we do have to kill a black person. So, sorry, Queen Latifah.
But what I was excited for after that, like, okay, that part was a little, because they're fucking jellyfish, you push through them because they can't sting you through the suit, which you find out they can. But that's what I'm saying. Like, she pulls the jellyfish apart as they're pulling it off the body, and Dustin Hoffman's sitting there with just like dead stare on his face, not even fazed by it. He's like, oh, all right. She's like, this isn't jellyfish. And he tells the story about how he jumped off a boat next to a dead body and landed in jellyfish. And she's like, these aren't normal jellyfish, so something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay. This alien ship's giving off like some like nuclear shit. All the fish around there are getting a little like different. I'm waiting for that. And then just fucking switch.
And that kind of play, like, you could kind of follow that thread to the next thing, which is like the giant squid attack, which also one of my favorite things, where the radar has like a perfect like little picture of a squid on it. Like, radar doesn't show that; it shows like a size of like general. But this was like this thing you could like make out individual legs on it and shit. Looks like a tiny octopus on the screen.
There's a lot of silly things in the movie. The only thing that checked me out completely was when he's flailing around in that tube towards the end. Dustin Hoffman's in that tube with those like eel type things.
Oh, the screaming.
Yeah, he's screaming.
His screaming was so fucking bad. Like, I don't think he's ever been asked to scream on film before. He's like, what? I have to
not
scream?
Like an acting skill he has is to be afraid.
Screaming, not good. But then she picks him up and she's like, you're fine. They're nocturnal. Their venom can't get you right now. And I was like, that logic
that's not what nocturnal means. It's not like, nocturnal doesn't mean their venom turns on at night. Like,
that was one of my notes.
Where it was like, why'd you even have to say that science?
But even her delivery was, she just like walks in real nonchalant, stares at him. The camera stays on her for like 3 seconds. And then she's like, they're sea snakes. They're the most venomous snakes in the world. They're only in nocturnal, and I was like, wait, what?
About Liev Schreiber and Sam Jackson. But I do feel like you have to kind of call a spade and be like, yeah, Sharon Stone is not great at delivering the science dialogue. She is the least convincing scientist on the ship.
Next to Dustin Hoffman, but I wrote like Dustin Hoffman's the only smart person surrounded by smart people.
And
she's the saffron.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, she's the Saffron Burrows of this shit.
They don't make her get into her bra, though, like they did Saffron Burrows. That's how you can tell she was, at the peak of her career. She didn't have to
lost as an audience for that one.
But throughout the entire fucking film, and the chaos, and even towards the end, when they've spent 3 days in that government thing, she kept putting her pink eyeshadow and her pink lipstick on. She had to look on point. You don't think
there's ladies out there still putting on makeup every day during the quarantine? You are sadly mistaken.
No, yeah.
Did she bring it? Did she have it in her pocket when they were brought up to sea with the bends? Like, she had it in her pocket and he was just putting it on? Fuck you. But I got to a point where I was like, bitch, just let it go. She just kept like harping on Dustin Hoffman, like the world was ending, and she was like, do you remember what you did to me? It's like, I mean, yeah, there's a squid trying to kill us. There's a squid trying to kill us. Like, can we like move on this right now? Like, I mean, we can talk it out, but
also, I love the fact that they were talking to the entity through the computer at some point. He called himself Jerry. They're having a conversation. He can hear everything they're saying, while at the same time they're panning back. Samuel Jackson comes out of the sphere. He's acting all fucking okie dokie, like nothing's wrong. And then when he's asleep, they keep panning back to him while all this crazy shit's happening. But then
it doesn't make sense.
No, but then there's
because
fire.
He's awake. Yeah. He's awake when the computer first talks to them.
Yeah, and then the computer's coming back to call himself Jerry, and then Dustin Hoffman doing his Jerry so fucking much.
Jerry.
And then he yells
Jerry,
at him.
Talk to us, Jerry. Jerry, I need you to calm down, Jerry. Jerry, it's okay, Jerry. Jerry, tell me how you're feeling, Jerry.
Use your words, Jerry.
That's why I put in my Seinfeld shirt.
What if the computer went back and went Newman?
Could I be any more of a sphere?
Honestly, I like the computer aspect that didn't talk to us and it was just the words of the screen. Like, I thought that was Nicer than trying to rip off like Hal.
Yeah.
Talking about, oh yeah, that's true. That's a good.
Yeah, they ripped off Mother from Alien instead.
Yeah, but
no, they ripped up Solaris because when I saw the score was like, damn, because I mean it's not a 12% at all. Like I would put it like a 40%, not to.
Oh yeah,
like,
I think this
show
is
my
really,
hand.
like, and I think we haven't talked about the actual ending of the movie yet, and I think the ending is really the reason it has such low scores.
But what I read, I wanted to read Roger Ebert's review, and he one of the main reasons why he hated it is because it's like a complete ripoff of Solaris, a Tarkovsky movie where literally a psychiatrist goes to an underwater base and there's an entity that he has to investigate with a team. So it's like pretty much a ripoff. That's why when you said a Michael Crichton original, I was like, original. Let's go.
I don't know. I did find it enjoyable though. Like I haven't seen.
It's not a horrible movie. I think it's too long.
In my research,
I think I agree that it's too long, and I think the end, like I said, the ending hurts it. We haven't talked too much about it, but basically all the stuff they're experiencing turns out to be kind of a manifestation. Basically, all of them have gone into the sphere, and by going into the sphere, they've all gained this ability to kind of like manifest their thoughts in physical reality, and they're all kind of using it against each other unknowingly, and like putting each other in different dangerous situations. I do like the whole thing where they're trying to break reality, and they're like, we're in the sub. No, we're not. You know what I mean? They think they're running around the ship the whole time they're sitting in the sub, and they have to kind of like break through and figure out what's going on. I like that. But then the real ending, they go on to like kind of they're back on the ship. They're back up on the surface, and they are like, we still have this power. What are we supposed to do? And their idea is to just kind of wish it away. They just kind of all agreed to forget about it, and then because the power makes their thoughts real, because they thought to forget it, they forget it, and it goes away, and
it's a cop out.
Like flies off into space or whatever.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense because they're forgetting it, but it's like, oh, you're gonna forget me, then I'm out, and it goes away.
Yeah,
like they should have thought about.
It should have like stayed down there, but kind of shut down or something, or I don't know what I wanted to say. But I do think that the movie overall is a solid sci-fi thriller, and then the ending kind of turns people off, and I can see that's why it gets why the scores are so low on IMDb.
You know what? Another aspect of the movie that really turned me off was the title breaks. Like it made it felt like I was watching a Frasier episode.
Well, they didn't really do anything. They didn't really have any meaning or anything. Like they didn't have like a second.
Either.
One of them was called Further Analysis, and I was sort of like, why are you? What the fuck? Why are you showing me?
I have an answer kind of to that.
No, go ahead. It wasn't a question.
So I was reading the IMDb trivia as I normally do during these, and they literally like the test screening endings. I think they're so obscure, so they threw those in like Further Analysis, and the quarantine ending or like the decompressed ending or whatever the fuck it is, where they're the decompression tank, because audiences were confused, and apparently Dustin Hoffman like was really unsatisfied with the final product of this movie because he was someone who apparently was like, it could be better, like we need to be tweaking this, and they were just trying to rush it out to meet their release date instead of making it a full complete.
Probably with better production quality, because like the sub and the station looked kind of shitty, and the earthquakes were just like the camera shaking.
Yeah.
It would probably be better, and maybe with a better ending. I don't mind the ending that so much. It kind of it's like kind of like a
general audience would.
But yeah, I understand why a general audience. And again, it's super fucking long. Like it could be
the fact that they gave
40 minutes.
Oh, it's so long.
I'm surprised.
This whole time traveling thing. They didn't even fucking.
Yeah, they
like,
just
okay.
gave up on it. Like I
Gave
thought.
up on it.
That's why I was like the first like hour I was into it. I was like, yeah, this is sci-fi schlock.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing.
It feels well. I would say the first hour or so feels very Event Horizon, right? Like
Yeah.
the ship comes
Yep.
out of nowhere. There's weird dead bodies on it. Where has it been? It's clearly human. It's clearly, it's like I was getting that vibe from it, and it goes in a little bit of. But again, I like the deep sea like thriller shit. I thought all works. Like I think the stuff with Queen Latifah and the jellyfish works. I think the squid attack works. Like I think idea that they figure out, like when you figure out Jerry's Harry, I think that's all interesting. And and like the book, he manifests all those books that are only half written. Yeah. That's weird and cool. It's, you know what it reminds me of? It's a movie that just came out in the last couple of years. It reminds me of the Cloverfield Paradox. Remember when that came out on Netflix?
Yeah, that movie.
And it had like interesting stuff in it, but it didn't all like mesh together the way it should have and like make a coherent movie.
That's a good cast.
Hoffman.
That's a good comparison, actually.
It's got a good cast.
It left me just as empty. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Do you think the 1,000 Leagues Under the Sea got a bump in sales after this movie? It got a good promo.
Yeah, I mean they definitely they definitely they pump it for sure.
Well, did anyone go
page 87 though?
There was a scene that legit made me laugh, and that was when Sam Jackson was like, "All right, guys, good night. You know everybody's gonna die, right?" Bye.
Yeah.
It's like...
Turns the light off.
But I love his explanation of it too. Like once he explains it, you're like, "Damn, he's not wrong, right?" Like if time travel exists, but we didn't know about this, that means we never came back to tell anybody about it. Okay, that's solid. That's a solid.
And they give up on it.
When he's a well, the thing is, it's like, and it makes sense too from his character who's a mathematician, so he's gonna like work out all the logical endings. He's like Doctor Strange trying to figure out every different timeline of what could have happened with them.
Yeah.
It's probable.
So let's go into the ratings phase.
Ratings phase. We got a very crazy taxi thing going on there.
I'm looking up its box office, by the way, and
so you say it when actually, do your rating and do your box office thing.
Okay. I actually, like I said, generally enjoyed this movie. I do see all of its flaws, but I would watch it again.
Yeah.
Giving it a solid 6.8.
Ooh.
That's not bad.
Right.
That's good.
So there was no box office production budget listed, but it only made $37 million.
That's not bad.
So it definitely had a bigger budget.
90s?
But I bet its budget was at least 50, even for the late 90s.
And there's no international, which is weird too.
TJ.
Ooh, okay. I didn't hate it. It definitely is some 90s schlock. I would definitely combine this with like an Event Horizon watch with like, I don't know, throw like the
or if you're gonna do this with Outbreak, if you want to watch a couple of
Outbreak,
Hoffman,
just Hoffman, then throw Hook in there too, and just throw everybody off the fucking,
Hook, another movie that's too long.
Another movie that's definitely too long. I'll give this a good 5.5. Samuel L. Jackson not saying the F word at all. The one thing that he didn't say it one time.
All it takes to make Samuel L. Jackson sound like a scientist is just not say fuck. That's it. That's all he had to do.
And even then, they have a hard time in movies.
It was weird in Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. He's so out of place. He's so out of place in Star Wars. I'll do next so Brian can close us out. Oh no, actually we have Joe's game. Sorry, we are not gonna close out on Brian, but yeah, give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Eyeshadows.
That seems like counterproductive to Joe. That seems like you're reacting to Joe's rating.
No. I said I tipped my hand.
I literally said the other movies you've rated a 4 on this show. This is better than that.
That's what I'm saying. It's also on my Flyover scale too.
If you would have heard me, I said I'm tipping my hand. I don't think it's a 12. I think it's a 40. Hence my 4. It's a 40. Don't say I'm doing it because of Joe. I think it's too long. I think it has good ideas that they give up, like TJ said. and Dustin Hoffman is weird in it, like in a good weird and not great and not bad weird. He's just like right down the middle weird.
Yeah.
I think the best part is Sam Jackson. Like he's fucking funny in it.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the squid moment when he hits calamari. And he's like, ugh,
Yeah, like just telling him that he had
that
his
was so
mouth made
fucking
him like
weird.
flip the fuck out.
I thought we were
fucking
gonna have I thought we were gonna have an alien
fucker in there.
dinner.
Yeah.
Well, they full on. I mean, they have the alien moment where they're like, "He's awake. He's really awake," and I'm like, "Oh damn!" Like they're really they're leaning in. Like,
All right,
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, 90s schlock. My heart goes to 90s schlock. So even if I didn't fully enjoy it, I still had fun with it. How about you, Brian?
yeah, I think it's like 80% of a pretty good like 90s sci-fi thriller, and then it stumbles in the ending. So I would probably lean right in there with Joe in the like high sixes, 6.8 to 7. You know, it's not it definitely has its faults, but I think it hits more than it misses. And I think it's got a solid cast. I think the cast helps it when it stumbles. We also didn't talk about Liev Schreiber actually has one of what I now realize is one of my favorite movie deaths, where he's pinned down and then a bunch of gas blows up in his face. He just gets his face cooked off. It's
Okay,
brutal.
question about that. I have a question.
Gruesome.
Which one of them manifested that? Because Dustin Hoffman just sitting there watching it.
Well, none of them like Liev Schreiber because he was like a child prodigy, and they all think he's a fucking douchebag.
Oh, he wrote that book, you know.
Yeah. Then Dustin Hoffman goes,
40 times.
Who put the fire out? Who put it out?
Yeah, Jerry then turns fire out after it like just burns long enough to kill him. And I also like the moment we didn't talk about where they find the guy's body out in the water and he's totally like pulverized by the squid. Something squeezed him and just basically like crushed all his bones and just made him a soft pudding.
That's Queen Latifah.
No, that's the other girl.
It's the other girl.
Oh, the other girl.
It was the other girl on the staff.
Hey man, if this movie is on TNT, I'm gonna be like, hey Dad, you want to watch an hour of this movie that's already an hour into?
Hey Dad, you want to take a nap halfway through this?
Yeah, and then be like, that wasn't bad. You missed 45 minutes.
If you fall asleep during the ending, you probably think it was really fucking good, actually.
Yeah. Definitely a good nap movie.
So Joe has next episode's pick. Can I say
that I like that we've all developed little games to get onto our next picks to avoid us from to avoid making choices? I like it.
I was just gonna say what Brian says. I've actually been finding it really fun that each has been coming with a different way of selecting a movie.
Except me, because I'm just picking for street cred.
But you also have a gimmick this year. You set yourself, you know what I mean? We all have a little game, but you set yourself your own little gimmick too. So you do have your own thing. It's just boring.
So I forgot that I have the Founders Pack of the Movie Fights home game.
Oh, that's sad.
Well worth the $99
Yeah, so waste of money. But it has cards. So I'm literally picking them at random, and you guys are each going to give a 30-second fight. And no rebuttals, just whatever, and whoever gives the best argument.
I was on tough once.
I won one episode.
And
I destroyed Yusef.
And so that's and then each one has, and there's a theme to the movies I picked for you guys, by the way.
Oh God.
Oh.
Okay, well I like that.
Is the theme bad?
The theme is, I'll give it away already. The theme is Wesley Snipes.
Heyo.
Oh.
So
I hope I have white man jumps.
So okay, so what movie always makes you cry?
Is this everybody, or is it like some people?
What? No, we're all fighting. We all get 30 seconds to fight about the best movie that always makes us cry, or our favorite movie that makes us cry, or whatever. Right? Is that about right? That sounds better.
Right? Let's do it not as abstract question.
Hey, I was into it. I had an answer.
All right, no, I'm fine with that. What movie always makes you cry? All right, let's start with Brian since he had an answer.
Ooh, damn it! People who go first always lose. Shit. All right. Well, my answer is it's weird. I love, we all know, all of us here, everybody's a big movie nerd, but I do have genres of movies that I just don't get into, and I'm not much of a drama guy. Like, just no matter how
Just
good.
30 seconds, Brian. Get to the point.
Fuck you. I can have more than 30 seconds. I'm taking all my time.
I'm starting it now.
All right. My answer is Homeward Bound. What tugs on your heartstrings more than animals, than pets? And the way they portray the pets in this movie, where they can love you, but they can't 100% understand you. So when you tell them things, they know that you feel towards them, but they don't know what you're saying. It makes it even more heartbreaking when they leave Shadow and he's like, where are you going? And then when Shadow comes up over the hill at the end, when you think he's dead and he didn't die, this movie makes me cry like 3 or 4 different times.
All right. Homeward Bound. All right, Yusuf.
Oh,
Go.
My pick is The Impossible. Ian McGregor, Naomi Watts, Tom Holland when he was a baby. This movie is fucking amazing. It made me cry at least 3 times. It's a disaster movie at the same time. Families are being killed in front of their eyes. The kids have to act as an adults because their parents are fucked up. They can't fucking save their kids from the chaos that is around them. It's so hard to watch, and at the same time, it's very rewarding because the ending is so uplifting that you also want to cry because it's so beautiful.
Jeez, why don't you just pick Manchester by the fucking sea?
All right, in The Impossible. All right, and TJ.
Tell me when to go.
Go.
E.T. This is easily the most simple answer it is. The part where E.T. eventually passes away and gives all his energy to Elliot, and then then Elliot gets his one moment with him, and just breaks down and tells him everything he felt. He lost his dad. He's sitting there. He only had his one best friend. He's also the middle child. He definitely gets no love in the family. And then the light glows. And you go from fucking sobbing sad to fucking joyous tears because E.T.'s alive. Elliot's screaming.
No wonder they didn't want you in Tough, man.
All right, so... I have my pick.
Go ahead.
But it is, I think, actually the short period of time you've had, TJ gave a specific answer and the most cohesive thing that pulls at your heartstring than just of like, what do you think? Like, Brian, you gave a nice abstract one that would have made a better argument if you had the time. And Yusuf was just naming actors and saying it was sad.
I never even heard of that movie that Yusuf said, by the way.
I don't think you heard me then. You clearly didn't hear me then.
No, biased. You're
anyway,
biased.
So we're watching Blade 2.
Woo!
Yes.
Yeah!
Brian, Murder at 1600 was up to your name.
Oh, okay. I'm more of a Passenger 57 guy, but
Okay, and Yusuf, you had Money Train.
Hey, speaking of Wesley Snipes, I didn't realize Rising Sun is also a Michael Crichton joint, so that was on our list.
I want a White Man Jump
during our Michael Crichton discussion.
I'm glad I didn't
on TNT when I was a kid. Rising Sun all the time.
So, all right, so Blade 2.
All right, where can the people find you guys?
Couldn't have picked a better Blade, honestly.
Easy. Man, that's the best Blade.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Hercules. It's my name and Cules like Hercules, but Hercules. I thought it was really clever at the time.
It's a good one. You can find me Twitter Chendango1 doing photoshops and shit.
DJ.
The photoshops are so choice.
You guys are on Flyover State from YouTube. Please check out the brand new show we just dropped starring Yusuf and Joe, talking about Mandy and Color Out of Space.
It's not always going to star them, though. It's going to rotate, so don't worry.
Yeah, it's definitely going to rotate. 2 on 2. It's basically, 2 out of the 4. Maybe sometimes we'll bring in a special guest. But, guys, just hit me at TJ Dex on Twitter. Thanks for sticking around.
Why I love movies. Bye.
Bye.